The only item of business tonight is going to be a discussion on our SCIT team, the Street Codes Investigation Team. We've, over the recent time, we've had a lot more requests from citizens and others about different things on streets, whether it's stop signs, crosswalks, etc. And talked to Russ and Bill and thought this might be a good time to kind of talk about what the process is for that and how it will be going forward. So Russ, I don't know if you want to introduce anything before we go to Bill and Chris, or just go straight to them.
I think just go straight to Bill. He is on the SCIT committee along with the city engineer and the police chief and some other police officers. So go ahead, Bill.
All right.
Other police officers. So go ahead, Bill.
Okay. I did send out a memo earlier. Gave it to Lori, so it gave you a brief discussion, or brief what we're going to talk about. Is that me echoing or somebody else?
That was me.
Okay. Okay. And basically, you know, the SCIT committee has been around since when I talked to Chief Murphy about it, somewhere in 2000, 2005, it changed from the traffic committee, which the traffic committee was established a long time ago. And it actually came into fruition about 1985 when the city used to have a traffic commission. So that's about when the traffic committee came in, when they got rid of the traffic commission. And since that time, it's been, and then in 2005, about 2005, it changed to the SCIT committee. Basically, what the committee's been charged with for the whole time is to take in citizen inquiries and look at speed limits, stop signs, no parking, crosswalks, and things of that nature, mostly regulatory signs that are enforced by the police department. Those are the type of things that are looked at. In this last recodification of our code, which is about, I'm going to say it's like 4 years ago, Laurie, was that? We recodified our codes, and at that time, in the code, it used to have the police chief as the de facto traffic engineer, and now by ordinance, the city engineer is our traffic engineer. The city engineer has the background in traffic management and things of that nature. So he's the official traffic engineer for the city at this time. When I talked to Chief Murphy about it a while, because he was on it for a long time, and a ways back, they were more formalized in their processes. He kept records of the meetings and went back to see if people, you know, we had multiple requests on the same topic within a 6 or 12 month period, and you could go back and think and review those, and you know, make a decision based on those reviews from the previous request. But sometime in that time period since then, when he stopped managing it, it became less formalized. Right now, we meet on an as needed basis, and that includes the chief and I we're the oversight of the SCIT team, and then the city engineer, he's the head person, he's in charge of it. He'll take in a lot of these concerns, along with the community services, Gary Baldridge, y'all know Gary, and Dan Andert, the traffic supervisor. Those are the people that make up the committee and meet. So what we're looking at doing now is get back into making a more formalized submission for request. We get a lot of requests from one person or two people, and a lot of these things typically affect the community, not just one person. They affect the community. You know, the big one is like no parking. Somebody comes in and says they want a no parking sign on the whole block, and they expect us to make a decision to do that. And I think we need to get more of the community involved in that, in the aspect of either require the applicant to go get some signatures off the street, or have a more formalized process to where it's not one person dictating what we're doing throughout on a street or any place else within the city. So that's what we're looking at, and we're going to try and probably set up and follow the traffic calming guidance document. There's a process that was established in there. We probably won't have public meetings, but we will have a formal application and then a signature page, which I would consider like a petition. So we know there are more than one person wanting to do whatever sign they want to do. So because these become very resource intensive. If we want to do parking signs, not as much intensive, but when we do let's say crosswalks, or the other one skips my mind right now. Crosswalks or stop signs, those require traffic counts, okay? And you have to put out traffic counters for at least a 7-day period and look at the results of the traffic counts and make an analysis. And right now we only have about 4 of those traffic counters. If we have multiple requests, they have to be stacked in line until we can get the traffic counts done, because the traffic count will provide us the volumes, the speeds of the vehicle, and sometimes if we need to, the classification. When I say classification, if it's a car or a truck or a semi or something like that, these counters can tell us what type of vehicles go over them also. So that's what we're looking at, is developing an intake procedure similar to the traffic calming, and then doing the traffic analysis, and then the committee meeting together to discuss the analysis, and and then go to implementation, which then, if it's decided to implement it, it goes into a city ordinance, because most of these regulatory signs go into an ordinance and then into, our codes for enforcement. So that's what we're looking at right now. Like I said, it's a more formalized process. We're going to keep minutes to meetings, have an agenda. I think right now we're as needed, but I think we'll go to a regular monthly meeting, because I think we also need to take a deeper look into policies. We really don't have an established policy for stop signs. We're following the MUTCD guidelines. So we would take and maybe formalize our policies of when a stop sign can go in, when crosswalks can go in, and things of that nature. So we have a better definitive outcome based on a policy, not just because we want to do it this way and that's the way we're going to do it. So I think that's what we'll spend most of our time with, is developing this winter, is developing those policies and developing the guidance document and the processes, and put them in writing so we can put them out on our web also, so people know what the process is and where they can get the documents to make a request. So that's what we're looking at. I think that's really the biggest part of it. We just wanted to, we got traffic collection, and then also we're looking at doing a prioritization, because since we'll get multiple requests, some will have some dollar impact to them. And so we're going to come up with a scoring system, so how to prioritize the implementation of these also. Some can be implemented immediately. Some may have to take some time for funding to get to. So we would look at putting together a scoring system of prioritization also, because a lot of these, we have the same type of document in our for traffic calming, and a lot of them have to do with pedestrians and where the request is being made. Is it being made around a school? Is it being made around a heavy pedestrian area and things of that nature? So that will weigh a higher prioritization than a traffic a no parking sign on a cul-de-sac. Okay, so we just have to do a prioritization and to implement them as they come in, because we do see a lot more, but we get them a lot. It's a lot. I said it's a lot of one person or two people on a street that want to do something, and it just doesn't seem like it's an equitable aspect right now. And one of the things is we're going to focus on using our traffic counters that are within the police department. You've seen the radar board out there and things of that nature. That takes some of the same data that these traffic counters do, but the traffic counters are more put into more of an engineering analysis software, and to where the traffic counters on the speed radars that's more of I want to say it's like a PR or an advisory thing, and it actually changes driver behavior. Okay, And that's what you don't want it to do, is change driver behavior. So when you have these traffic counters, nobody can see them. So it's not going to change their behavior. And that's what you don't want to do, is you want to get their true movements and their true actions, besides seeing, the speed board, because that can change drivers' behavior. But the speed board is also a first step in evaluating some of these things too, because we're looking at, especially on the traffic calming side, what we're looking at is, if we have a complaint of speed, the first thing we really want to do is just do public education, okay? And within a couple months, you're going to see some things out, because we're developing some yard signs to help with our public education. When people start asking about, people speeding through our subdivision or our neighborhood, we're putting together yard signs that will be that are detailed for public education, so that people can put these out in their yard for a while. Then we can use the speed radar trailer so people can see what they're doing, and then see if we can correct the problem through public education first, before we have to do any type of physical improvement or any type of regulatory signage. So we want to look at that process also to better educate people. And we have, like I said, probably within a month, you'll see those 4 signs that we're having made up. And they're the typical yard signs that anybody can put in their yard, and we'll probably distribute them during the process of some of these evaluations for public education. So I think that gives you where we went ahead, and where we will probably do that over the next, this winter, basically, is where we want to start getting these processes in place and getting ready for, the spring, because that's when we'll most likely get most of our more requests. And a lot of these things is we can't do a lot of these things during the winter anyway, because of the road conditions, the weather, and things of that nature. We can't put a traffic counter down and have a $4,000 traffic counter plowed up. So we don't want to do that either. So, we want to get this, and so we can start this program off in the springtime, and then be better suited, and to keep track of our decisions and a written decision of how it came about, and how we can refer back to it if we are challenged, or if anybody wants to know how it came about, so we can have a history of that request. So Russ, that's where I am with it. If you have any questions, I think, and the Chief Murphy's on and Chris is on also. So if you have any questions, we can all chime in if need be.
Yeah. Chief, Chris, do you have anything you want to add to what Bill said?
Mayor, I'm in full support of what Bill said of the program. I was involved in SCIT for numerous years. It's very time consuming. The best way to deal with it is the documentation of all decisions, the justification of what you did, because it's the same questions, the same issues continuously come up. It might not be by the same person, but the same situation is continuously brought up. Once you deal with it, you don't have to go and start from scratch. You can go back to where you were. You can explain to them, this was looked at 6 months ago. This is the findings. And most people, when you do that, they're satisfied. They just want to make sure somebody has looked at it. But this is all about consistency too, when you're making decisions on when to put signs up. And I'm certainly for that, and certainly support what Bill's doing.
All right, thanks. Chris, you have anything to add?
I would just add that, everything that Bill said, Bill and I have talked and we're in agreement with, and over the past year and several months I've been in Kirkwood and tried to field a lot of these questionnaire or questions from residents. A formal process would definitely help that, the documentation. And then as we get more and more of these, as Chief Murphy said, that we can go back to that documentation and say, well, this has already been looked at. We appreciate any comments that council has, and we can move forward with that.
Great, thanks. Russ, do you have anything before we go to council questions or comments? You're on mute, Russ.
Thank you. Only that over the past few months, we have determined that it's better to make it a more formalized process. I think that that is the direction we need to go, so that we have records of what occurred, looking back and asking somebody what occurred 2 years ago, and they say, well, I think we decided X. This doesn't work. So that's, I think that's a start. And I think getting a prioritization based on point scoring is a really smart move as well.
All right. Bill or whoever wants to answer, where do most of the requests come from? Is it through, like council forwarding it on, or is it directly from residents or another source?
I'm going to say it seems like in the last 2 months, I would say it's 50-50. We get some from the residents, we get some from administration, and we get some from the council members. So we prefer to get it from the residents because then we can start documenting and have instant communication with them, because it seems like they have a lot of communication with some council members and things of that nature, and it might get a little bit off the track. We like to be in the process as early as possible so we can keep it on track and keep them within the process that we're going to develop. And I think that'll help us all out. So we know basically what the right hand and left hand are doing. That's the big thing. We don't know what sometimes is going on and is being said, and then we have to retract and reset to get back on track. So, but I think it's right now. I would say it's a mixed bag. I don't think there's unless Chris can tell me something else. It seems like it's a pretty mixed bag right now.
Chris, I don't know if you.
I probably don't get as many requests directly from council as Bill does, so I can't answer that directly. Okay. But it's either mainly from residents is what I see from my point of view or perspective.
In a lot of those cases, on those, I know we've seen some through council, but the ones you receive directly, are they usually is it for the no parking in front of their particular home or their street or crosswalks, or is it, so do you get from entire streets that we don't, for some reason, we don't know about?
We rarely get something that's from an entire street. We'll get something that's from maybe one or just a few of the people on the street. And then we've gotten a few that say, well, it's not my job to collect signatures or create the petition for the whole block. I don't have time to do that.
Until they find out that most of their neighbors don't want whatever it is they're requesting. That never happens, does it? No, I'm kidding. That happens all the time. I know that. So when you get bigger requests, I know one of the streets recently, there's a lot on. Bodley had a lot of support for different things. Either now or in the future, how would you see communicating with residents on that? Would it be best to? You can't communicate with 50 people. I mean, you can share some information. How would you envision doing that, at least going forward?
What I would probably ask right off the bat is them to give a single point contact, is that they need to establish a person that's going to talk for their subdivision, basically, okay, and keep it as a single point. And we would probably do the same thing on our end, is that a lot of these, sometimes our single point contact might be Gary Baldridge, okay? And that's one of the things that we've talked about in our skit meetings is the follow-up. Sometimes we make decisions and what to do, but nobody takes ownership of the follow-up, okay? So we need to lay that out so we know who's going to be skit's point contact for that particular request and who's going to be the person to follow up to make sure that it's implemented or people are notified of what the final decision is.
Gotcha. And last question from me on this. If you do get a request and go out there and look at it and determine that, yes, it really would be more safe to change the speed limit, add a no parking area or something like that, I assume you would do that. The city would do that without requiring or needing consent of residents and as such. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say if the city identifies a hazard, then we would probably do that without notification, as long as it's an isolated thing. You know, if we're talking about no parking on an entire street or something like that, I think we need to communicate that. You know, we just did that on Doughty Ferry when we did the bicycle lanes. We communicated that we were going to do no parking, and we sent everybody a letter to get their feedback. And you know, we had at St. Gerard, we had feedback because you know it's when you send those letters out, you don't know what happens on Saturdays and Sundays, and we found out that they needed some of that parking on Sundays for their services and stuff like that. So I think that's a big key, that if it affects a very isolated area, the city could go ahead and do that. We're gonna do that with speed limits pretty soon. We're just gonna change them for the whole city, the base speed limit, okay? And so we'll take care of that. We'll work with Freddie to let people know about that we're going to do that. But I think you know, isolated incidents, the city will do that themselves. If it takes it into a whole street or something like that, then we should go have a more public process.
Understood. And I'm sorry, I do have one more. I'm going to follow up what Chris said about people telling him it's not their job or they don't have time to get signatures. Again, that would be in a situation where maybe it looks like it's not necessarily a safety matter. Is that correct? I mean, because if we need to get citizen approval or petitions for a non-safety matter, that might make sense. But if we see it as a safety matter, yes, we should have no parking, or we should do the speed limit or whatever it is, we would not, leave it up to, residents to make that determination. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that's correct, because depending on what an outcome is, there's still an analysis that has to take place. Right. We still have to take a look at the engineering portion of it and set it up against the MUTCD.
Okay. All right. We'll go on to council questions. Kara, you want to start tonight?
Sure. I don't think I have many questions. You mentioned that, would this be on the website that someone could go and look and figure out how to start the process?
Yes, that would be our ultimate, because we would do the same thing with our traffic guidance, our traffic calming document. We want to get that on and a process built for that also, so we can put it all on the website.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is just a really good idea. I mean, not just hopefully getting some time off your guys' plate with redundancy, but also hopefully educating some of our residents who have questions and concerns, and maybe they can learn the processes and get some community involvement. So I think it sounds like a great idea.
Great. Okay, Liz, do you have anything?
Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. So Bill, how the MUTCD, is that constantly updated with regards to pedestrian bike safety?
They do updates, but not. It's hard to say. I know they do a lot of. Chris may have to help me here, but they do a lot of advisory things. Okay, before they actually change the book, there's a lot of things that go into place on an advisory level, and that's where pedestrian and bicycle improvements are coming. That's where it's coming through the MUTCD now, is because a lot of that is just, I don't want to say new stuff, but it's coming more to the forefront. And so sometimes we get some advisories that you can do these things with special authorization now, especially on federal projects. If we want to implement it on our streets, we don't need federal authorization. Okay, but if we do it like on a federal project where we have federal dollars, then we have to get approval to use that new technique.
So would you say that it meshes with Complete Streets and Vision Zero?
No, because the way I look at it is that the MUTC is the basis of all of those, okay? Because what NACTO and Complete Streets and Vision Zero is, it still builds off the engineering and analysis, but what it does do, it's the different types of implementation, okay? You know, they'll talk about bicycle lanes, but, you know, and they'll give you the pavement striping guidelines and stuff like that, but it doesn't give you into, you know, like, you won't see in the MUTC, you won't see anything about raised intersections, okay? It will tell you how to stripe it properly for crosswalks and things of that nature, okay? So there's a base level that MUTCD covers, but then there's other levels through like NACTO that has how do you implement some of these other things for greater effectiveness.
So the process right now that you're talking about implementing, if we get an email from somebody, would we direct them to you?
Well, no, you would redirect them to Chris. He's basically the city engineer. He's the city traffic engineer. So it would go to Chris, and he would start the whole process off.
Okay,
right, Chris?
and then we're basically out of the middle of it.
I don't want to say you're out of the middle of it. We would probably keep you in the loop with through emails and communications and things of that nature. Yes, since you were part of the initiation, we would keep everybody informed about it.
Okay, all right. And then I know you mentioned something about schools and that they would get a higher, that would get a higher rating if it was a school involved. But will our staff be working with the school staff regarding things that are in front of their schools?
Yeah, so we do that now. We had the school involved with up front during the design process for work on Guy Road, for work on Quan Avenue. We work directly with the school district during the design of those projects. So we do that already.
I had gotten a question from two different people regarding Doherty Ferry near the school, St. Jared's School, and then Holmes, where kids are getting on a school bus there and crossing the crosswalk. Is this something? Where does that go now? What do you?
Well, I would say that at the mid-block crossing, I think at Reef Terrace, as you're talking about, that's something that we'll have to in the spring put out traffic counters on, okay, and start watching the movements of that, and come up if it's a logical place to do it, okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's got to go through the engineering analysis for speed, traffic counts, and things of that nature. And so with that, we come to that. Down at the Holmes Avenue one, I think that's one that just needs to be looked at right now. We talked to the street department a little bit. That crosswalk's been in there for years. That went in with the Holmes project.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Holmes. Yeah, I think it was the Holmes project.
Yeah.
And but people have encroached, especially the parking, the site distance for the parking. There's parking right up to it. So we're going to talk about moving that back, and we'll take that to skip because they're probably going to have to put no parking signs up in that area. So we are taking a look at that and looking at the signage. Right now it's properly signed, but we could use probably some more advanced signage based on the traffic volume and things of that nature.
So I could let Chris know who those people were and they can start communicating. Chris can start communicating with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bob.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Thank you for doing it. I have something to put on your plate right away, and that is a couple of years ago, a woman sent me an email and said she was given a traffic ticket for going through a stop sign and over by an elementary school. She shouldn't have been given the ticket, she said, because her son was in the car and he was upset. But she suggested, and this is what I would ask you to point out, she said, if in Kirkwood we don't want people, that it's going to be our rule that people cannot roll through a stop sign, we ought to put some sort of warning device up to indicate that. That when you approach a stop sign, you are not permitted to roll through it. So if you can think of any signage that's appropriate.
Well,
I can think of an inappropriate signage. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Bob, that happened in Oakland. We just happened to be patrolling it. That was all. It's the same way. I think we all got that. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's not funny, but it's.
It was in Oakland, but.
All right. All right. Anything else, Bob?
No, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like keeping a record of things because I can imagine you do a lot of repeat research to come up with the reasoning. And would you say that most of the requests result in non-action? Not action in the sense that you look at it, but no new signage? Is that the way most of them come out? I don't see a lot of new signs going up all the time.
Yeah, Chris, you got that, or Brian? Do you have any? Brian has greater history.
Yeah. Over my experience involved with this about 10 years, I would say most of the time you are correct. There's no action taken.
Yeah, and if there's no action taken, somebody's going to complain or suggest it down the road, and it would be really nice to have that little booklet there to look at and be able to tell them we've already done this.
Correct.
All right, that's it.
All right. Maggie.
First, I think this is a great move forward. I love the record keeping. I think it's all a great thing. Chris, I'm really glad, and Bill, that you're involved because you're involved with Vision Zero. One other thing that you were talking about where we were involved with the schools was North Geyer and Kaiser. That was a lot of involvement with the schools. The one thing that I thought about when I first read this was I wonder if it would be helpful not to keep an eye on you or anything like that. You all certainly know what you're doing, but to have one of the folks from Vision Zero, the subcommittee, sit in on the meetings, add if there was anything to be added, but at least know what's going on as we proceed with Vision Zero.
I don't have a problem with that, but we do meet between 8 and 5.
Okay. All right. Well, we could, Mark and Carol, we can talk about if we're interested and who can do that.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? John, Russ, do you have any thoughts on council being involved in an administrative thing? I just thought I might ask that.
That's a good question.
It's no problem because it is a committee that is devoted to some of the same things that Skid is looking into for one person to observe. But I don't think that the council should really comment or direct the result. That's my take on it.
All right.
I would join in that. The charter doesn't allow the council really to direct. Certainly the council can pass on the communications that they're receiving, whether it's to Chris or to Bill or to Russ or to whomever. And as Bill said, then they'll be kept in the loop as it progresses so that they can at least advise their constituents that the staff is taking care of it.
All right, great.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Anything else, Maggie? Is that it?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Mark.
Yes, I think this is also a great idea. A couple of questions. As far as holding a monthly meeting, Brian and Bill and Chris, is that too much time to wait for a request going from month to month? Will that inconvenience anyone by waiting 30 days versus, doing them on a case-by-case basis?
I'll speak to that if I could. I think 12 times a year is a generous amount of times to review these issues with the amount that we've got coming in. I think it's an appropriate level. It also allows time for between meetings, conferring and making sure a report is completed, minutes are completed. It makes sense to me that it would be about once a month.
Okay, great. And that sounds good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Next question regarding collection of signatures. In the past, when neighbors have not agreed with a particular requester on the street, for example, if one person wants the whole street to be no parking, for instance, and the rest of the neighbors on that street say, we don't want that. How have we handled that in the past, and how might that affect how we're collecting these signatures?
I'll speak up. In the past, if somebody wanted parking restrictions and then the rest of the street did not, it was not granted.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. And my last point is, I mentioned to have this on the website. Might be an idea to tie this in with the Kirkwood Connect request system somehow.
Well, I can speak to the fact that some of the ones that we're reviewing currently come through Kirkwood Connect.
Yep.
So I think we would certainly get the word out that that is a way to communicate any issues with the city or concerns to the city. So
Right.
I think that that's a viable means, absolutely.
Yeah, the more we can make Kirkwood Connect our one-stop shop, it just, again, it makes it easy because you have a single point person requesting it, as well as a single person from the city communicating with that requestor. So I think that's great. And I think Kirkwood Connect is just fantastic. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Wallace.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any problems with the plan. I like the idea of formalizing what we do. I would ask that I'm on my mantra of proactive rather than reactive. And I would like for you to give consideration to tying this committee's work with engineering and public works, tying it with our street rehab, preservation, reconstruction process, so that there's a geographic area that everybody knows we're in. Our engineers can look at and evaluate signage and street flow and all of the things that come up in that process. And then folks in those areas could also be notified if you have something you want to bring to the table. Now's the time to do it, because we're in here and we're looking at this street. You could exclude those things that are life safety so that they could be handled outside of that geographic area. But from a manpower standpoint, from a community understanding standpoint, and from the council understanding where we're working at on those things, it would be a good common sense process to tie it to that construction work we're doing on our streets. I would also, we haven't gotten an update as to where we are with the street committee. Do we have a finalized date for that? When do we finish the work so that we can hand over a process and some policies to engineering, and for the community to understand what we're doing with our streets? Because right now we're kind of we're attacking it one block at a time, and I just don't see that being a practical way to do it. So rather than invest time in attending a skit meeting, I would prefer that we accelerate our effort to finalize the Safe Streets, Vision Zero, Complete Streets plan, so that we have something to work with citywide. That's it for me.
All right, thanks. Liz, do you have your hand up? Yeah, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I have one more just
That's
quick
fine.
question, and maybe it's for somewhere else, but I was wondering, you talked, Bill, about an education process. Is there something that we could do as far as education on crosswalks that people need to stop? It just drives me crazy when people are standing in a crosswalk and cars just zoom, zoom, zoom go by.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think we can start looking at that. We haven't got heavily into public education. that was in the process with Vision Zero, which that would have been part of that whole process. But yeah, for pedestrian education, we probably need to focus on that. And you're exactly right. You see it all the time.
All the time.
And it's one of those things where again, you can put up the best looking crosswalk, the most signs in the world, but there's some people that just ignore it. So, but no, I do think that we should have, and I can talk to Freddie about it, some more in education about crosswalks. It's the state law to stop when there's a pedestrian within a crosswalk and all those types of things. Yes.
And could the police actually issue a ticket if somebody didn't stop in a crosswalk when there's a pedestrian there?
That's a chief question.
Yeah, yes, we can issue a ticket for that. It is a violation.
Does it ever happen?
Sometimes, yes. Not very often. One of the issues you do have, as Bill pointed out, it's when somebody's within the crosswalk. A lot of people will stand on the side of the street and not make a motion that they're trying to cross, and then get upset because nobody's stopping for them. That's usually where we get our complaints, which that is really not a violation.
But Chief, it's boy, that's a tough way to roll the dice. Let me go out here and hope you're going to stop.
Yeah.
And some of our signage, some of the older signs state stop for pedestrians in crosswalks. Some say stop for pedestrian at crosswalk. Some don't say anything. There's just that universal, signage. And I think what we need is all crosswalks to be pedestrian controlled flashing beacon. That's the way you get people's attention. They understand what you're trying to do. There's no misinterpretation of whether you're going to wait for them to come by or whether the pedestrian has the right of way. It's a reasonable investment, I think, in a week. I don't expect us to do 100% of the streets, but let's do it whenever we can.
All right. Do we have anything else? Any other council members? All right. Anything else from staff? Bill, Chief, Chris, Russ?
Nope. I have nothing.
Right. Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Bill. And with that, our work session business is finished. So we will adjourn and then see everybody back shortly for our formal meeting. Councilmember Ward.
I don't think you gave me heads up on that, Mayor.
Oh, it's on the agenda. Sorry.
Okay.
Could you give the
Pledge
German?
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kara. Roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Here.
Councilmember Wertz,
Here.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Here.
Councilmember Sears,
Here.
Councilmember Dewey,
Here.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Very good. Mr. Hessel, would you like to comment on sunshine law regarding remote meetings?
I would, Mayor. As the notice of the meeting reflects, we are meeting remotely. Unfortunately, because of the coronavirus pandemic is continuing on pursuant to the orders of the governor as well as the county executive, we need to meet remotely for our own safety as well as the public health and safety of the residents. And under section 610.015 of the Missouri Sunshine Law, members of the city council who are not physically present in the council chambers can participate and vote on all matters when an emergency exists and the nature of the emergency is set forth in the minutes. So I would simply ask that the minutes reflect, again, that we are meeting remotely because of the ongoing pandemic. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. We do have a special presentation now, and maybe we can see if Noah is able to join us. Well, there is Noah. You can unmute yourself. And I bet you is that your mom?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very, very neat. At our last meeting, Councilmember Ward told us what about you, and so tonight we're going to have a proclamation to you, and then we'd like to hear from you and hear about your project. So, right, first of all, I'm going to read a proclamation.
Mayor,
yes.
1 second. Let me try to, if you don't mind. I need to try to figure out if I can change the orientation on the screen so it doesn't show it sideways. I apologize. I didn't realize it would put it on there sideways today. I will try to change the orientation. I'm not.
If not, Lori, that's okay.
Okay. Okay. I apologize.
Go ahead and take it down then.
Okay.
Down, yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. So I'm gonna read the proclamation. And again, this is a proclamation of extraordinary contribution to the community. Whereas 10-year-old Nora Vasquez, I'm gonna read it all by myself. Whereas 10-year-old Noah Vasquez, a student at Tillman Elementary, has made thousands of homemade masks with her mom. Noah has sold half of the masks on her own, earning over $10,000, and the remaining masks have been sold at a local business. The money earned by Noah has been spent at local Kirkwood businesses, and the items have been donated to area first responders and local organizations. And more than 1,000 masks have been donated to the Jennings School District by Noah. The city of Kirkwood values the contribution of residents, young and old. Now, therefore, I, Timothy Griffin, Mayor of the city of Kirkwood, on behalf of the Kirkwood City Council, to thank, congratulate, and commend Noah Vasquez for her extraordinary and unselfish contribution to the community, and encourage others to follow Noah's example of helping others in difficult times. Noah, do you want to tell us about what you did?
Sure. So I've been making masks since March, and
Can you talk a little louder or closer to the computer? There you go.
Louder. I've been making masks since March and selling them to people, and I've made $20,000.
Wow.
What have you done with the money?
I'm giving it to local businesses.
Boy, that's very, very neat. How did you come up with that idea?
So my aunt who was a dentist needed masks, and we sent her some, and then a bunch of other people kept asking for masks, and then we kind of just started selling them.
Oh, that is really, really neat. Shows great initiative. Anybody else want to ask Bill a question or make a comment? Wallace, you encouraged us in this, so.
No, I just want to tell you just how grateful we are you're in our community. You're a true hero. Now, I do want to point out in real life, heroes are never alone. So we want to thank your mom for the support that she's given you, because she's certainly a hero also in our eyes. But you're a great example of the wonderful kids who come out of Tillman Elementary. And we're excited about you and glad we had just an opportunity to honor you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's great. Maggie?
And Noah, I want to tell you that they are very, excuse me, very comfortable, and I feel very safe in it. So thank you very much for the gift.
Yes, we've given one to each of you, and it should be at the city council office for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, anything else? Well, no, sorry I butchered your reading. It's sometimes hard to read and do all this, so I apologize. But thank you for everything, and you will get the actual proclamation. Let me see if I can put a kind of a copy of what it looks like up and cover my face for a minute. And then you'll get a nice.
They're going to give you
a nice copy will be is going to be sent to you. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay,
You are amazing.
Congratulations.
Bye. All right, that's neat. Very, very neat. Okay, now we'll go straight to public comments portion of the meeting.
The public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to comments or answer questions during this period. The mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed. If there's anyone wishing to make a public comment, if you would please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
All right. Do we have anyone wishing to speak?
Patrick Richmond.
All right.
Oh dear.
He's muted.
You're on, Patrick. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm over here at 444 North Clay, and I was something to know. A while back, did I mention about the Kirkwood trolley? And we can almost say blame the COVID for screwing almost everything up though and stuff like that though. And I was something to know. I'm hoping the thing goes through very well because, like I say, it's been really useful for the city of Kirkwood though. And I'm hoping some progress is being made though, because I think it's a great asset for Kirkwood. I go to Kirkwood Podiatry, and of course, if that thing would have been running in regular service right now, I probably would have been riding it to my podiatrist.
Well, thank you, Patrick. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak?
There are no more hands.
Great. All right. Thank you, Freddie. We will move on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
So moved.
We've got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. We will go to unfinished business, Bill 10851.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Article 1, Section 18-7, bicycles, roller skates, rollerblades, and skateboards.
All right. Do we have any questions or comments on this? All right. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
All right, bill passes. Bill 10852.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 17, Article 12, Section 17-197, definitions, and Section 17-198, curfew for persons under 17.
Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments on this bill? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. All right, bill passes first reading. For Bill 10853, as I did for the public hearing, I need to recuse myself and step down, so Deputy Mayor Dewey will preside over the hearing of reading of this bill.
Bill 10853. Mr.
Deputy
Hawes?
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance granting a special use permit for a restaurant with outdoor seating on the property known as 132 West Monroe Avenue, subject to certain conditions.
I need a second, motion and a second to accept the bill.
Move approval.
Second.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Bill is moved to 2 weeks from tonight.
Great. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll move on to Bill 10854.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance granting a special use permit for a motor vehicle accessory store at 538 Leffingwell Avenue, Suite D, subject to certain conditions.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments on this bill? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10855.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 3, Section 14-158, motorcycle riders to wear protective headgear standards.
All right, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments on this bill? And John, I assume this is just to be consistent with the newer state law?
That is correct, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Sears, your hand was up.
I want to confirm that there's no variation from state law with respect to this bill.
That's correct, Bob. There are no variations from the state statute.
Okay.
Councilmember Dewey, did you have your hand up?
Just a curiosity, why 26?
You'd have to ask the state legislators. I can't answer that, Maggie.
I wondered if it had to do with then you couldn't be covered in insurance by your parents anymore, or, okay, just wondered. All right, thanks, John.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
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 All opposed say no. All right, bill passes first reading. Bill 10856.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 8, Section 14-396, Schedule F, speed limit designations, subsection E, 20 miles per hour, by adding the 500 to 700 block of West Jewel.
Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed say no. Bill passes first reading. Resolution 119, 2020.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution approving the site plan for construction of a multifamily building on the properties known as 134 and 138 West Madison Avenue, subject to certain conditions.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. I'm gonna make a few brief comments of my thoughts on this. Yeah, I like what they've done over there. I think the first building that's been completed is good. It's been successful, and I think the second one will be as well. I think the modifications are asking for are justifiable. I think the one thing with the height we have to remember is in B2, a mixed use, council can approve up to 60 feet with no modification. So if we wanted a mixed use there, they could go up to 60 feet. But we've decided basically in various locations throughout the business district that mixed use with retail on the first floor is probably not a good idea. And this is one of those. So I think what they're doing over there on that block is good. It's good for Kirkwood, and I will support this resolution tonight. Any other council comments or questions? All right, let's see. I'll go down. The only hand I see right now is Councilmember Gibbons.
You know, I love their buildings. I love the quality of their work. It's amazing. Marvin windows. I mean, they're really beautiful. But I do think that we are the steward and protectors of our city and its established codes. And I'm quoting somebody on that. So I think 25% deviation from the height that's a problem for me.
Okay. We have any other council comments? Councilmember Dewey.
Yes, I have a few questions concerning the sidewalk. I think that I understand that if indeed is it continued in front of the residence at 120 West Madison, it will be continuous from the most southern boundary of the Barclay project on Clay, turning east at Madison and running to Kirkwood Road. Am I stating that correctly?
I see Jonathan unmuting.
Sorry. So yes, if the property owners of the single family residence agree and desire to have that extended, the 6 foot wide would go along Clay adjacent to the Barclay, turn the corner along Madison. However, when it transitions actually in front of the Madison, it is 5 foot there currently. Okay. So that small stretch between the Madison, for various reasons, there's plantings in between the tree lawn and things that was at 5 feet exposed aggregate. So it would taper down there for a little bit, and then when it gets to Kirkwood Road, it flares back out again.
Okay. And then at the crosswalk that goes from the parking lot over to the police station, can we include the paint that will be used for the crosswalk to be designated by the Public Works Department?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna try to find that exact language because I think let me see. Yeah, I think in my opinion, the language in there, so we say that it should be high visibility crosswalk markings, and then MUTCD signage, and final design shall be subject to approval by the Public Service Department. So that would final design would include spec of the paint.
Okay, great. And I also was thinking about painted crosswalks through both entrance and exit of the parking lot. So that would warn drivers that there may be more people walking down there, since there now will be a crosswalk for the safety of pedestrians.
So the sidewalk will go through, you're talking about the driveway, the driveway approaches into the public parking lot. Is that what you're saying?
No, actually on the sidewalk, since that will be in the two right of way, both an entrance and an exit.
I don't think I'm following you. I'm sorry. So the entrance and exit to the parking lot, to the public parking lot?
Actually marking the sidewalk or something that designates two drivers coming in and out of that parking lot, that there may be more pedestrians crossing there because of the crosswalk.
Which parking lot?
The parking lot that's just to the east of the new building, of the third building. The only one left in that area there.
Public parking lot.
Yes.
So it would, as proposed, it would be 6 foot wide exposed aggregate going through those driveways. So I think painting or something, I mean, it will have a color and texture variation from the pavement. I think painting it or doing something like that might not work with the consistent sidewalk through there. Okay.
It just seemed like it needed to be delineated a little better because there is now going to be a crosswalk going across the street. The other thing is I looked again at the Barclay and I like the use of different colored bricks. And as near as I could tell from the drawings, it looked like that was going to be on the third building as well. I like that a lot. It's much more pleasant than a blank brick wall. So I'm hoping they will do that with this third one also. It looks like on the drawing that they are. I just thought I'd say that I liked it and I hope they do.
Thank you. Anything else, Maggie?
One more thing. Sure. And finally, I am still sorry to go this long. Finally, I'm still uncomfortable with the additional approximately 11 feet of height. I know that the zoning code is not law, but rather a guide. However, in this project, I will be applying this statement to this project. And I know I've voted against the other two Savoy buildings in this specific area, especially concerning height modifications. But in this time, I will vote for it because I think at this point, to have the third building being 11 feet shorter wouldn't fit in the neighborhood. That's it.
Thank you, Maggie. We have any other council comments, questions? All right. Seeing no others, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Sorry, no.
Councilmember Sears?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Yes.
All right. Resolution passes. Resolution 121, 2020.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of ElectroRep Energy Products in the amount of $230,419 for three-phase pad mount dual voltage transformers for the electric department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second? All right, we've got a second. Any questions or comments on the resolution? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Sears?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Yes.
Resolution passes. We go to city council reports. Is there any report from council members? Councilmember Dewey.
I'm just talking a lot tonight. On a couple of weeks ago, the youth council is progressing. A couple of weeks ago, Megan, Grace, and I met with John Hessel. He was, as usual, very, very helpful. Among other topics, John asked them if they wanted to be a standalone entity or to be a commission, just like all Kirkwood boards and commissions. We talked about the perks for doing that, and Grace and Megan were very interested and agreed. The current group met on Wednesday the 17th for the first time. It was very exciting and amazing to listen to and watch this group of young adults. They were 5 seniors, 4 juniors, and 1 sophomore from a variety of schools. Grace and Megan made much the same presentation they made to us. They further brought up the idea of being a city commission, which was approved unanimously. They will be contacting John to move further, and they'll meet again on December 2nd.
That's neat. Thank you, John, for doing that. Maggie, thank you for all your work with them. That's really neat. So,
It truly was a pleasure. These are very fine people. We're lucky to have them.
Yep. Kara.
I just want to make a comment after that and the proclamation for Noah earlier today. I think Kirkwood's in good hands with the future. It sounds like, so it's exciting.
Yeah, it's really neat. Anything else from council? All right. Chief Administrative Officer report.
Yes, Mayor, the city has received a request from the Kirkwood Optimist Club to operate its annual fundraising tree lot at North Middle School beginning on November 21st, 2020, with hours of operation 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And we would request the city council approval by voice vote.
Great. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
We've got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on that? All right, seeing none, all in favor. Oh, I'm sorry. Karen, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just, did they outline, I know they mentioned that they had best COVID practices. Were there any specifics, like having a certain quota of people who could be on the lot at the time?
I'm not aware of specifics. I know they were working to have separation as much as possible and keep COVID spacing while loading trees and things along those lines. I think it's more of a we'll do everything we can type statement.
Okay.
They did include, I'll show it, just National Christmas Tree Association Tree Lot COVID-19 recommendations. Here it is right here. Oh, you can't see it. So it looks like they are going to.
That's kind of what they're following then.
Yeah.
That's what I figured, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Anything else? Oh, Russ, anything else from you?
No, that's all.
All right. City Attorney report?
Oh, Mayor, we didn't get an official vote on that.
You know what? It'd be nice if we voted on it. So we have a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you, Laurie. City Attorney report.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
All right. City Clerk report.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a few items to report on. The first item is the November 18th, 2020 report from the November 18th, 2020 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The following action was taken. By a vote of 5-3, the commission recommended approval of an application submitted by Starbucks for a special use permit for a restaurant with a drive-through and outdoor seating and a site plan to construct a 2,200 square foot building at 300 South Kirkwood Road. That will be scheduled for a public hearing. And then I will report on the scheduled upcoming public hearings. December 3rd at 7 p.m., a request for a site plan review for Villa Di Maria Montessori School at 1280 Simmons Avenue, and a request for a special use permit amendment by Pepe's Apartment 2 at 800 South Geyer Road. And then for December 17th at 7 p.m., we will schedule the item I just read from the November 18th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which is a request for a special use permit and site plan for a restaurant with a drive-through and outdoor seating at 300 South Kirkwood Road. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Laurie. All right, well, with that, I'll announce our next meeting is on Thursday, December 3rd at 7 p.m. Via Zoom. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving.